Hey everybody, it's Ian the Off Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. Today I'm going to be making this fun plaid card. This is a plaid that you can make using just a solid image stamp and a couple of line stamps. A lot of you have those kind of stamps in your stash, and I think this is a great way to use them. I didn't quite get that plaid successfully done quite the right way. It's close, you get the idea, but it's a little off. I think plaid needs to be perpendicular, the lines at least. Anyways, not a big deal, and it still gets the message across, especially for when you're wanting to give a card to a brand new friend. Plaid to meet you is always a great pun. I love puns. What can I say? I love puns, and I like being punny. Get it? Punny? Anyways, let's go ahead and check out how I put this card together. Alright, I have my Tim Holtz stamp platform out, and I've gone ahead and put one of the Simon Says stamp grid pieces of paper in it because I'm going to be shifting this piece of paper around a little bit. And so in order to do that, I want the grid paper underneath, so that way I always know which way I'm going, or I know how much to move is basically what I'm getting at. And I'm actually think I'm going to move it so that it's vertical instead of horizontal, so that way I always have more room to work with. Alright, so I've gotten that set up. I'm going to use my Mama Elephant Basic Borders stamp set. I'm going to be using this solid line stamp, and I like this stamp a lot. I just wish I had a solid image that was as thick as this dotted image, because I think that would work a little better for the plaid that I'm going to be doing today, but it's okay. It's not a big deal, and I can work with what I got. I'll just have to stamp it a couple of times to get it the way that I want, but like I said, it's really not that hard, and since I have the grid paper on here now, that makes it a little easier as well. The first color that I'm going to be working with today is the Distress Oxide Blueprint Sketch. I'm using the Distress Oxides because they stamp much better than the Distress Inks. It's really hard to get a good impression with Distress Inks, and I really want a nice solid impression, or as at least solid as possible. And so I'm just going to go ahead and ink up this stamp using the Blueprint Sketch, and I'll create a couple lines. I'll create them right up against each other, so that way we get a solid image that's a little thicker than this individual image, if that makes any sense at all. Alright, now that I've finished with the blueprint sketch, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the Lucky Clover. I think this color will work well with the blue, but remember, in order to get the plaid look, we're going to have to flip our stamp now, because we want it to go in the opposite direction, and I'm just going to put that up there, and we want to go perpendicular to that first. Well, and it looks like I didn't do it quite like I should have, so we may not get perfect perpendicular lines, but yeah, so in actuality, plaid needs to be like this. So how am I going to do that? Alright, so we're not going to get it perfect. It's not going to be an official plaid because we're not going to be hitting it at the right angle for it to be 100% official plaid, if you will. But we're going to get it close enough. So I think if I lay the stamp like this, I think that should work out. Close enough, not a big deal, happy accident as I like to call it. And well, it would help if I got it stuck to the, anyways. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to move to our Lucky Clover, and I'm going to continue stamping. We're going to go all the way down like I did, but I don't know that I'm going to do the whole double stamping. I might. Probably look pretty good. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind. We'll figure it out as we go. Oh, and I think I forgot to mention this is Nina 100-pound Desert Storm cardstock. I like the colors popping off of this darker cardstock. I think it's going to look great. Alright, I've finished with Lucky Clover, and honestly I think this is going to work out quite nicely. It is starting to look like plaid, a little uneven plaid, but again, no big deal. It's just a little off kilter. Okay, I now have my 3-line stamp here, and I'm just going to lay this in the empty space. And I'm going to remember to put my magnet on it, because I filmed this once before and then forgot to put the magnets on it, so that was great. Alright, I'm going to pick up the 3 lines. I don't think I've used this stamp, so I'm going to make sure to rub my fingers on it just to get it conditioned and ready to go. I'm going to use some Close to My Heart White Daisy ink. This is a pigment ink, a pigment-based ink, and this will be good for creating the lines that are going to go across as just little accents. Okay, so there's our plaid. It's going to dry a little bit, so it looks like it's going to dry back slightly. That's alright. It will still look good, and it definitely shows up on that blue stripe pretty nicely. But this is kind of the plaid that we're going with. It is kind of representational of plaids, since I don't think any plaid would be as sloppy as this one. But, you know, it's alright. It's supposed to be representational anyways. Okay, next up I have a piece of scrap paper here that I'm going to use. I believe this is like 65-pound cardstock or something like that, just regular white cardstock. I was going to use a bigger stamp set and use my Tim Holtz platform for that, using the Close to My Heart stamps, but I think these are just going to be too big and too overpowering for such a small card. So I want something that's going to fit a little more in with that theme. So I have these little block letters. It's going to be fun doing these by hand because I'm not going to get them straight. I'm not going to get them perfect. But again, we're not going for perfection. We're going for fun. So I'm going to go ahead and get going with this. I have my platform still, and I'm using it more as just to keep the paper still as I'm stamping. So let's go ahead and stamp out our greeting. Okay, I've gotten it done, and I think it's a little crooked and a little off center and a little off kilter, but I think that goes in with the tongue-in-cheek of it all. I used VersaFine ink. If I didn't already say that already, I used VersaFine ink to stamp that out. Okay, now that I have it all stamped, I think I'm going to cut off a little bit of the top and a little bit of the bottom just to kind of get it centered up. Okay, now that I have an idea of where it's going to go on the card, I'm going to go ahead and cut a fishtail into the end of this little banner. The easiest way to do that is to cut straight up the middle and then join from the corners matching up with that point. Now the base of the card felt like it was still a little wet, so I went ahead and just took a quick heat blast across it, so that way I made sure that everything was dry. And now I'm going to take the banner portion and I'm going to go ahead and run my tape runner over it, and then we'll stick it, adhere it, whatever you want to call it, onto the card. Alright, there we go. This mat is so funny. It acts kind of like Silly Putty. It pulls up some of the ink, but as you can see, it still looks great on there, so I don't know what's going on. Alright, so let's get a card base going now. Alright, as you saw there, I sliced down a piece of 110-pound Nina Solar White cardstock, and I'm now going to use that. Oh, I don't want to put that right there because I don't want this to end up on the inside of the card, but I am going to take my Scotch adhesive roller and just go ahead and put it, I'm going to do it onto the card base this time. I did score this at 5.5 inches, and that gives us the top folding card. So this card is 4 1/4 by 5.5. That's your standard A2 size card. Alright, I swear I can never get a card on correctly, and this is where I'm going to show you how to fix that. So I don't know which part is off, whether it is the card base or the card itself, but it's pretty easy to fix this. So let's go ahead and fix this really quick. I'd love to have one of those guillotine card chopper thingamajiggers, but unfortunately I don't have one of those. I'm just going to use, I think, my paper. No, I don't know what was off. It doesn't matter though. So basically what I'm going to do is find the edge where everything kind of meets up at. And that should be good right there. Push in my blade, and since we're going to be cutting through multiple layers, I'm going to go back a couple of times just to make sure that I'm cutting everything that needs to be cut. See, it didn't quite make it through there. So that's when you grab your scissors and just even everything out. Now there's still a little hanging on the back side here, but you're not going to be able to tell that from the front side, so there you go. There you go, that's today's card. So I hope my plaid inspires you to take on some plaid of your own. Remember that the Distress Oxides are great for doing this plaid work because they layer so nicely on top of each other, even if you're using some yellows on top of blues or greens. Great ways to layer those colors up and not have to worry about them mixing or turning into a mucky mess. I hope you liked today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that you like my video, and then they'll hopefully share it across YouTube land. You can also subscribe to my channel by clicking that big red button down below that says subscribe. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the bell notification icon so that way you get notified every time I post a new video or go live right here on YouTube. You can also check out my social media links. Those are listed down in the description below. Don't forget to go check those out. They include Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and more, so make sure to go check all those locations out. I hope everybody has a great day. Remember guys, normal's just a setting on the dryer. Bye!